On that fateful day in May 1984, what began as an ordinary visit to the haunted castle at Six Flags Great Adventure quickly turned into a nightmare, leaving 8 young lives tragically cut short and dozens of others forever scarred. It was supposed to be a day filled with thrilling attractions, laughter, and fun memories. Instead, it became a chilling reminder of how quickly tragedy can strike, leaving us with haunting questions that still echoes in our minds. What really happened inside the haunted castle? How did a seemingly harmless attraction transform into a deadly inferno? Who were the victims, and how has this devastating event affected their loved ones? And in the aftermath of the blaze, who was ultimately held accountable for this horrifying tragedy? The haunted castle, a popular walk-through attraction, was filled with guests eager to explore the spooky-themed corridors and be frightened by the eerie special effects and costumed actors. However, unknown to them, their desire for fun and excitement would soon turn into a desperate fight for survival. Constructed from 16 interconnected truck trailers, the haunted castle was designed as a symmetrical labyrinth, with each set of 8 trailers creating a maze of narrow, dimly lit corridors. When crowds were smaller, only one side of the attraction was open, but both sides could operate during busier times. A central trailer served as a control room and dressing area for the actors. On that fateful evening on May 11th, only one side of the haunted castle was open, and guests trickled through at a steady pace. But just before 6:30 p.m., a small fire broke out, and within minutes, it turned into an unstoppable inferno. The aluminum trailers were filled with highly flammable materials, such as plywood dividing walls, cloth and paper coverings, wood and foam props, and foam crash pads on some walls. The fire spread rapidly, fueled by the abundance of flammable materials. Approximately 30 people were inside the haunted castle when the fire started. The combination of the rapidly spreading flames and smoke and the intentionally confusing layout of the attraction made evacuation incredibly difficult. One guest who managed to escape described stumbling, tripping, and bouncing off walls in his frantic attempt to flee. Initially, he thought the flames and smoke were just another special effect, delaying his decision to leave. Fire and rescue services were called promptly and arrived on the scene within minutes. However, the ferocity of the blaze left the affected side of the haunted castle all but destroyed by the time they managed to bring the fire under control. At first, it seemed as though everyone had been evacuated, but this hope was shattered when 8 bodies were discovered in the wreckage. Most were found in the same narrow corridor, so severely burned that they were initially mistaken for charred mannequins from the attraction. The 8 victims, all between 15 and 18 years old, came from the same group of friends. They had come to Six Flags Great Adventure on that fateful day to create joyful memories and escape the routines of everyday life. The park closed its gates temporarily as investigators descended upon the scene, eager to uncover the chain of events that led to such a catastrophic disaster. As the details unfolded, the tension and anticipation grew, with everyone waiting for answers. It was soon discovered that the fire's origin could be traced back to a teenage boy who was navigating the dark and winding corridors of the haunted castle. Struggling to find his way through the shadows, he made the fateful decision to use a cigarette lighter to illuminate his path. As the small, flickering flame guided him, it came into contact with a ripped piece of foam dangling from one of the attraction's walls. In that instant, the fire ignited, spreading rapidly and consuming everything in its path. While using an open flame in such a confined space was undoubtedly a reckless act, investigators were not quick to place all the blame on the teenager. As they delved deeper into the case, they uncovered a series of oversights and failures by various parties that contributed to the tragedy. The fault was attributed to park management and a range of state-level inspection agencies. These parties were accused of allowing the haunted castle to operate without proper safety systems and in an increasingly dangerous condition. The attraction had no sprinkler system or working smoke alarms, even though both were recommended by fire safety consultants. The haunted castle was considered a temporary structure, and as such was not required to have these safety measures in place. But the attraction had been operating for almost 5 years, straining the definition of temporary. Further investigation revealed that many emergency exit lights and other fixtures were in poor condition. Employees reported missing or broken bulbs in many emergency lights, and the foam padding on the wall where the fire started was ripped and exposed when it should have been neatly sealed. Shift managers also reported that guests had been seen using matches and lighters to illuminate their way on several occasions in the past, but no action was taken to address this issue. Haunted Castle staff had raised these concerns with senior management, but their pleas were ignored. In 1983, employees even staged a walkout in protest against the poor upkeep of the attraction. An anonymous employee, when asked to report safety violations, wrote, "Forget it, too numerous to mention." Despite this history of inadequate maintenance and missing safety measures, both the park and its parent company were cleared of any wrongdoing. The jurors ultimately placed the blame on Jackson Township officials, who allowed the haunted castle to slip through cracks in the fire code. Although the park followed the regulations it was required to follow by law, the law simply did not require enough. 8 civil suits were brought against the park, 7 of which were settled out of court for $2.5 million each. The remaining suit went to trial, and the family involved was awarded a significantly smaller sum. In the wake of the tragedy, New Jersey fire safety codes were extensively updated, especially concerning structures designed to confuse or disorient visitors. New regulations required all such structures to have proper fire detection systems and mandated that lights should automatically turn on and confusing sound effects be muted when a fire alarm was triggered. Other states quickly adopted New Jersey's rules, leading to a revolution in scare attraction safety across America. However, the tragedy's impact was felt far beyond improved safety regulations. Several attractions in New Jersey suffered as a result of the disaster, and many went out of business. Six Flags Great Adventure itself nearly closed in 1987 due to negative publicity surrounding the fire, but ultimately recovered and still operates today. The Haunted Castle's trailers have long been removed, replaced by a new ride, the Cyborg Cyber Spin. Cyborg Cyber Spin was a maintenance nightmare, possibly due to being on the Haunted Castle site where the teens died in a fire. In November 2021, Cyborg Cyberspin was removed from the Six Flags Great Adventure website, and the restraints were removed from the ride shortly after. Although there is no memorial or lasting sign of the 1984 attraction, the Haunted Castle will never be forgotten. It remains a haunting reminder for the families of the victims, as well as a stark warning to legislators and fire safety officials of the dangers of letting things slip through the cracks. The tragedy forever changed the amusement park industry, and serves as a reminder of the importance of safety, vigilance, and accountability. As we come to the end of this chilling tale, let us take a moment to remember the lives tragically lost in the Haunted Castle fire and the devastating impact it has left on their families and friends. This haunting event serves as a stark reminder of the importance of safety regulations and the need for constant vigilance in all aspects of our lives.